Hi, welcome into the ESPN 760 signing day recap. A lot going on signing day last Wednesday, some big shakeups, some big changes. So let's start off first. What was your biggest signing day surprise that went on?
I'll start. Charlie Miller is the obvious one for me. You know, kid from Vero Beach who I thought for sure was going to go to Vandier, some big ACC school possibly, or obviously SEC. And he ends up going to Northern Illinois. It's a great pick for them. You know, they've had over 10 wins back-to-back years. They've had bowl victories. I'm not saying this isn't a good pick for him, but I think he could have gone to a way better school. It was a huge surprise. I thought for sure he was set on going to Vandy. I mean, when you get close to 5 to 10 rumored phone calls before signing day, you think he would hold off for a little and maybe pick another school. But, I mean, obviously he had his mindset on Northern Illinois, so that was my biggest surprise.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job the past few years coming down here and getting guys, especially wide receivers. So it's interesting them coming into the area and scooping someone like him up.
Yeah, now you think he joined someone like Tommy Lee Lewis from Dwyer, who exploded onto the scene, national television, returning a couple of kicks this past year. So they know where the speed's at now, and they're going to keep coming down here. It's a great job picking him up, especially I talked to you the day he got back from Vanderbilt on his recruiting visit just before National Signing Day. It seemed like that was a lock, and then he gets these big offers from SEC schools. He said, all right, it's just going to keep going up and up because, as we talked about last time, maybe he was a little unknown to a lot of these schools. He may not have been on a lot of boards, but as people found out, maybe he was rising up. Then to come away with Northern Illinois, good for him. I mean, he's going to see a lot of time, and I think he's going to help them out quite a bit.
My big surprise, it has to be Cravon LeBlanc. I mean, the fact that he signed with FAU, this is a guy that probably could have been at the University of Miami or a big-time college. He had the scandal going on with the 3 other Glade Central's players. It cost them the playoffs and a chance at a state title. But Cravon LeBlanc was a 3-star athlete. This guy's a big-time safety, a lot of speed, hard hitter. The fact that FAU was able to land a guy of that with that kind of potential, just let you know that Carl Pelini's doing a great job. He's my huge surprise going to FAU. I thought he would be at a much bigger school.
That was such a coup for FAU to get a guy like that there. And we've all seen him play. One of the most talented safeties, maybe the best safety in the area by far. You saw him in that Dwyer game. He had that huge hit late in the 4th quarter. An unbelievable player. To get a guy like that for Carl Pelini, that's so huge. To get those guys who are the higher-up guys that maybe FAU didn't have a chance to get, but to lure a guy like him in there, a great first start for Carl Pelini. I mean, that's a BCS quality player there. LSU was showing interest there earlier. You get someone like him there, that is just unbelievable for there. Who are maybe some guys next level who can really succeed early on their freshman year?
I'd have to go with Devontae Robinson, Village Academy wide receiver, going to West Virginia. I just hear a lot of good things. You know, I did an interview with Casey Keenum earlier, Cummings. I mean, about how good this guy can really be, and from what I hear, he's going to start right away. I mean, he's got the size. They say he's got the hands. That's something you can't teach. Just a matter of the route running and all this stuff you learn playing football after a few more years. So I mean, that's the guy that I think doesn't redshirt or anything. I think he's going to go right in there and he's going to play. I'm not saying he's going to be the #1 wide receiver, maybe play some slot and stuff. I mean, a 6-foot wide receiver slot, I'm not going to complain. That's a great get for a freshman playing at West Virginia. So I mean, I think that's the biggest one for me.
I think Greg Bryant goes in and makes the biggest impact in the college level next year. Oh, that's right. He's just a junior. He's that good. I'm fired up for next year. No, seriously, I will go with another West Virginia commit. I like Rashard Burney a lot. I think of all the backs in the area that are eligible to play college football right now, he's the most college ready, and I think that was a great get for West Virginia. He's built real solid. He's got some good speed. And if we look down the line, West Virginia is not afraid to play young running backs. You look at someone like Noel Devine a couple years ago, had a lot of time as a true freshman. Before that, Steve Slayton made a huge impact in his freshman year. So I think that he could go in there, and if he gets a shot, I think he's ready. He can make an impact from day one.
I'm going to go with Angelo John Louis, Palm Beach Central wide receiver, committed to the University of Miami, signed his letter of intent with the University of Miami. I think he is capable of going in, not maybe playing a lot starting right away, but getting some snaps in as a true freshman slot receiver. Al Golden loves the kid. He's been was verbally committed to Miami for a very long time. If he goes in and compete and shows that he has what it takes, he's not going to be overwhelmed by the next level, I think he can play right away. Maybe not that much, but he can help out that offense next year.
Well, there's that whole issue of who's throwing him the ball, which may
that
may hinder his growth just a little bit as a player.
I was about to say, I don't even think we've seen the best of him yet. I mean, is that fair to say? I mean, this kid was committed.
Yeah,
he probably, I don't want to say he tanked it, but he probably, wasn't going all out crazy, God forbid the kid broke his leg or something.
He had a really good season, and you talk to the coaches at the All-Star game in which he played at, they had nothing but great things to say about him. I mean, I think he can be a big-time playmaker very early for Al Golden in that offense.
Yeah, I think him and Joel Blue will be interesting to see what they do down there in Miami. I think two guys that have a lot of potential, and that Miami program is so up in the air right now. I don't know if you really know who's going to be on the field next year and in what capacity. So I think those two, they definitely have a shot to make a major impact next year, and it'll be interesting to see who does.
You mentioned a couple West Virginia guys already. I'm going to go with the third guy, my boy Travaris Copeland. I know he's making the switch from quarterback to wide receiver, but his athleticism off the charts right now. And one of the things I talked to him about earlier on is that all the coaches talked to him about using him in the Wildcat formation. So I think that's something, he could get some early reps there in the Wildcat. He's got such great athleticism, unbelievable speed. He can throw the ball. He's got a great arm. I could see him really getting some reps, getting and really thriving that position. And he's got a little transition there, but he played wide receiver his freshman year at Fort Pierce Westwood. I could see him even getting on the field too. When you've got that great speed, athleticism, talent, it's hard to keep a guy like that off the field. So he's a guy there. And West Virginia, we talked about, unbelievable class there. Bernie, Devontae Robinson. That offense, Dana Holgorsen knows how to use his players, his personnel. I think he'll use the best of them there. So, finally we got there. And
I was just going to say, do not forget that he can play defensive back. So that's 3 different places that this kid could play at. So, I mean,
he's not playing defensive back.
I'm just saying, watch,
A new breed of athlete and man. The Metrex deal is on the way.
Would you be surprised if you played defensive back, wide receiver, and quarterback all in 1 year? I wouldn't.
If anyone could do it, it'd be him, Mr.
There you
Willie
go.
Demon, Travaris Copeland. But he's been one of the more highly touted guys, a guy that everyone has wanted. But there are a ton of talented players here that haven't gotten the offers, and a lot of guys that didn't sign on signing day. Who was maybe a guy that you were really surprised with that didn't get a chance to sign?
We mentioned his name before, but it has to be Gary Holmes. I mean, the fact that no one offered this kid a scholarship later. He had some scholarship offers pulled, but he was one of the best running backs I've seen here in Palm Beach County in a long time. I mean, I thought he ranked right up there with some of the greats, guys like Trey Mason, Matthew Elam. I thought he was, from a talent standpoint, brought that to the table, and he did it at the highest level of high school football in the state of Florida, which is very impressive. I am still shocked to this day that he has not signed a national letter of intent anywhere.
Pew, do you think that him playing kind of I want to say like a hybrid wing T kind of didn't help the cause? I feel like that's what held him back at one point. I felt like this wing T / spread offense that they played at times, might have hindered his ability.
But he's still a good player, though. I mean, you can't deny that. He's got the grades. He's smart. He has the numbers. He just doesn't have the size. It's just unfortunate that no school out there picked up on this guy and offered him a scholarship.
It's high school going to college, too. This isn't the NFL draft where we're going to knock a spread quarterback for, he can't pick up the system going there. You got to understand that, the wing T, in my opinion, unfortunately still exists at the high school level. So I think he gets the carries. He's used in a variety. He's used in a variety of ways. So I don't think that hurt him too much. But I'll go with a kid, and I've gone back and forth on this player quite a bit, and that's Tremaine McCullough from Royal Palm Beach. I know he was hoping to sign that day, hit some academic snags there, but I went back and forth. At first I said, no, he's too small to play successfully at the next level, but I started thinking about the games I've watched him in, and whatever it is, this kid can take a pounding in the middle. He had 42 carries against West Boca and that Juwan Blue tough defense this year. So even though he's $150, $160, this kid can take a beating. He can carry the rock, and who's to say he has to play running back at the next level? I think he's going to be a really good slot receiver in the next level, and he's one of those kids that when the ball's in his hands, he makes something happen with it, and I don't think that can really be underestimated in that situation.
Who you guys taking if it's Alex Clark from Palm Beach Gardens and McCullough? I take Alex Clark.
With that said, I'll take Alex Clark.
Yeah, probably Alex Clark.
Tremaine McCullough.
I'd take Tremaine McCullough.
I think he's an interesting situation because we how much of a product is he of that system that was put in there is my question. We know he's good. Like, he had a great senior year. It's just he kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. I'm wondering how much that may have affected his recruiting and the fact it may not have started earlier with him. We've always discussed how kind of he got robbed a little bit on signing day, but I wonder how much that maybe factored into it.
Well, I mean, you can't blame him, though, for his coaches not knowing how to use it properly.
You can't.
I mean, Willie Bueno came into Royal Palm Beach, said, hey, we're not playing you at wide receiver. We're going to put you at running back and hand the ball off to you. And the guy had, over 1,500 yards rushing he found a coach who knew how to use him properly, and I think that's the reason why we've seen his success his senior season. I think he can play slot receiver. He can play running back. He's a little bit bigger than you're giving him credit for. He's about 175, not a buck 50.
I don't know about that.
He's 175, but he's a good running back. I mean, the kid can make plays, and I truly believe he is the fastest running back in Palm Beach County, hands down, even more so than Gary Holmes.
Oh, he's got such unbelievable talent there, and he mentioned that, is that he played receiver. It's not that he was a bad receiver, he just didn't have guys throwing him the ball last year. They went 1-9. That situation was a mess before
Well,
Willie
he
Bueno
played
came
quarterback a few games then last year.
Yeah, he did towards the end of the year. He played a few games at quarterback. That is true.
in. He was the best player by far, and you're right, Willie Bueno got the way to utilize him, and of course that didn't happen. The recruiting-wise, it comes down late in his senior year. People haven't been on him as much because they're going after some other guys, but he's a guy I definitely think can do well the next level. I think he's such a talented player. But I'll ask the question right now, what happened to Keith Byers? This was a guy I feel that we were talking about as getting like a lot of maybe lower BCS offers. I had heard a lot of interest in Cincinnati, some other schools, and he's kind of fell off the radar there. I haven't heard anything about him signing day. I mean, are you surprised, having seen him play, that he's gotten nothing at all?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. He has been banged up over the years with some injury problems. But I thought he was a nice running back. I didn't think that he was elite or one of the best in the area, but I thought he could play at the next level. I didn't know if he was a BCS quality running back, but I'm a little surprised he didn't get any scholarship offers. I'm pretty sure his dad is probably handling his recruiting process, and he'll end up somewhere. But I'm still surprised he didn't sign on National Signing Day.
Yeah, but are you more surprised that he didn't end up somewhere on our signing day, or how much major attention he was kind of getting his sophomore and junior year, as you brought it up? Because we kind of heard that stuff, and that kind of almost blew me away more than him not signing at all. I always thought he was a good running back, but just hearing some of the schools that he was talking to back, junior, sophomore year, I mean, that was crazy to me. So, I mean, I think it is definitely a surprise he didn't be signed anywhere, and I think he will eventually, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, from a numbers standpoint, he doesn't put up the same amount of numbers as a, Rashard Burney or a Tremaine McCullough or Gary Holmes or Greg Bryant or any of these running backs in the area, so his numbers aren't going to jump out of the page.
Yeah, they passed a lot more in that offense, too.
Yeah, they did. And what's going to get you is, the Byers' last name. His dad was a running back at Ohio State, went on to the next level, played in the NFL, so you know that the college scouts are going to say, he has the pedigree to possibly be great, just a matter of putting it together, staying healthy. And unfortunately, he didn't do that during his time at Boca High.
He was one of those guys that needed the numbers. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Everybody knew, like you said, the pedigree from his dad and stuff like that. It was just a matter of, in the offense, he was hurt this year, a lot of passing. If he didn't have the numbers, I just thought, I thought he was a little overhyped. I don't want to say that, but I didn't think, like you guys said, I didn't think he was like mid-level BCS. I thought he was a little bit lower than that. And then unfortunately, he just didn't get the numbers this year and injuries and all that. So that's probably why he's still waiting.
I mean, like you said, you hit it on the head there in terms of the Byers' last name getting the attention. That'll get you the attention your sophomore and junior year, but at some point you've got to put together that big season in order to get the scouts to come to you. And you look at Boca, they had a lot of expectations this year. Yeah. They kind of slipped up. They didn't have the year a lot of people thought. They thought Keith Byers and Kevin Anderson, that was going to be one heck of a tandem there, and of course that season got a little derailed there. And Keith Byers, he just wasn't able to put together that season, and that's probably something that's hurt him there. But... If you anything else, I thought you were didn't want to leave you out there.
I was questioning how much attention did that name originally get him a couple years ago, and after certain things went down this year, how much is that name hurting him right now? Because there's a clear schism there's no real interaction between Keith Byers and Boca now. And if you're a college coach, are you a little scared at that situation that I can't talk to this kid's high school coach about him? Now I have to go through his father, albeit his father was a very good pro back. But, I mean, there's it's a tough and it's a delicate situation right now. And, I mean, Byers, he's a nice back. He's a good back with a name that you recognize, and I think that's all he is right now.
It's an interesting point.
No, I think that's completely fair there, and especially in the wake, I'm not trying to accuse Keith Byers Sr. of this, but of the whole Craig James Texas Tech thing, I think coaches are really wary of people who are just kind of down their recruiting, may kind of be, as they call that, helicopter parent in there. They want a guy who they don't want to have those issues coming in there, and whether that's fair or not, that may be a problem that hurt Keith Byers in his recruitment. But guys, that's going to call it a wrap right now in our ESPN 760 Signing Day wrap-up. Thanks everyone for joining us. So you can check us out at ESPN760.com for the latest on all the high school news. Thank you very much. We'll be back later.